That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone, and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. Well, that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow.
Rocket Sauce wants to know, is Richard late again? No, he's right here. I'm here.
I'm right
Richard's
here.
here.
I was right on time.
He was very, very punctual today. No
I was
complaints.
holding off because I don't know. I'm not feeling great today. I wonder if I caught something.
No. Okay, well, hopefully that doesn't affect your performance.
I'm sure it won't.
Well, like I was saying just before we launched, I think I'm going to miss Twitter when it eventually dies, because Twitter is a little bit of a free show. It's a free program. Like while I was waiting for Richard to come on, I was just scrolling on through the Twitter noise machine, and Eric Idle tweets out, "WTF, I just blocked the Pope." And then Steve Martin replied, "So begins the English Inquisition." You know, that's free programming. That doesn't cost you anything. It's a free joke right there by two legendary comedians.
So, when is Twitter going away?
Oh, eventually. I mean, eventually people will move on to something else. I think, anyways. Like, remember MySpace when that was a thing?
No.
And then Vines.
Exactly.
Vines. Remember when Vines were a thing?
I don't know. Twitter's been one of the top sites for a while now.
Yeah, but that Elon Musk there seems to be running it into the ground, and people are talking about.
Yeah, but that just creates more.
Yeah, maybe that's part of his genius, is that he just keeps creating controversy about Twitter. But like when you look at it, and of all the social media sites, Twitter is like not that high up there. Like there's way more people on Facebook and Instagram than Twitter. It's like, the only reason I have it is to talk to you.
That's it. I talk to people in this community. That's it.
I don't even talk to people in the community.
Steven Eider's been buying.
Oh, well, yeah, that of course. You got to know what's happening at Walmart.
Daily entertainment.
And Steven did get me, because the other day we were out and he posted a photo of a He-Man figure. It was a regular He-Man, the updated, the new one, but it was only $10. So Sarah and I were out. She wanted to go to the dollar store. We needed actually one of these. One of the paper
Trapper Keeper?
Yeah, paper. Keep the paper things. An envelope. Keep the paper.
Why are you using paper, old man?
Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But we needed one of these, and a good place to get them is at the dollar store. So yeah. The dollar store is right beside Walmart, and I thought, well, why? We're at the dollar store and we're picking up. Maybe we should go over to Walmart. And Sarah's like, "What for?" I don't know, just to look around. And then somehow I ended up in the toy section at Walmart looking for this He-Man figure. I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't find it. They only had Jiu-Jitsu. Remember that guy?
Kind of. He was kind of like one of the Fisto clones.
Yeah.
Like a judo chop kind of thing.
Yeah, and they had him and I think Buzz Off. They were both $22, and I said, screw that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
Sauce is
just you summoned him. He heard you.
He's just getting. It's a deep, deep well.
Hello, Steven.
Sauce says he's just getting over food poisoning. Well, glad you're feeling better. Was it the good kind? The good kind or the bad kind of food poisoning?
Well, what's the good kind, bad kind?
Well, food poisoning is like, after you've been drinking all night and you get up and you're not feeling well and like you're throwing up and that, and you got to call in to work. You can't call them in to work and say, I was hungover. You got to say, I got food poisoning. I can't come in. So I got food poisoning.
So is that the good kind or bad kind?
That's the good kind because you had fun.
Okay.
At least you had some fun.
Well, I suppose.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that you bought a He-Man from the dollar store, because that's what I did.
You bought a He-Man from the dollar store?
I bought a He-Man from the dollar store. I could go get him if you want.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Hang on.
You should have that ready. You got a He-Man figure. Let's see here. Sauce says Twitter will die when they start charging for it. Yeah, it's definitely that definitely would happen. And still have dollar stores in Canada. It's now the $1.25 store here. Yeah, well, there's not much at the dollar store that's only worth $1. I believe this folder was $4.25.
Well, yeah, they throw that dollar in the title just to get you in the door.
Yeah,
But nothing costs $1 anymore.
no,
But there are things that you really shouldn't buy anywhere else than the dollar store.
yeah,
Like whenever I need to buy wrapping paper,
yeah,
I could buy some for $1, or I could pay $5 to $7 for something
yeah.
that's going to be ripped up and thrown on the floor.
But you got to be careful with the dollar store because sometimes they're actually not the cheapest. You can find stuff at Walmart or whatever. So
True.
I'm sure there's some sort of consumer programming out there that could direct you in the right direction, but we're not that. Anyways,
No.
let's see your He-Man. This is
Here's my He-Man.
There you go.
He-Man. That's a dollar store He-Man that I got last time I was in the U.S.
This is great audio for the listeners. It's a little miniature He-Man. Oh, a little miniature
A
Skeletor.
little miniature Skeletor. Yeah.
Did you have to
They're
paint
about, I don't know,
those?
like 2 inches. No, they're just like this. And on the base it says Masters of the Universe.
I would totally buy that. I would.
Yeah, they had a few others. They had Man at Arms, Orko, and Merman, I believe. But then I thought it would be off balance if I had if I get Man at Arms and Merman, I would wish that there were Beastman or Evelyn or Tila or something like that. So I decided to just get He-Man and Skeletor.
They probably do have all of those.
Well, if they do, well, Steven might know.
Steven says
if they
dollar
do
stores
show
are
up,
the
I'll have to
future.
track them down.
Dollar stores are the future.
Well, they really are. I mean, it really seems like it really feels like the government is pushing people to shop at the dollar store. They want you to really feel proud about going to the dollar store, so they don't have to pay anything else. Just you can make a life living off the dollar store. They have food, they have utensils, they've got everything you need for house and home.
Yeah.
Why do we need to pay you more? This stuff is great.
This is true. Now, not all. If you want a high quality product, I don't think you're going to get that at the dollar store.
No. We're talking about base survival of life.
Yeah. Well,
you can survive on minimum wage.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're just popular. People like to save money. They like the discount. So I don't know how much it has to do.
I buy a lot from my dollar stores because there's useful stuff. You just don't always use it for its intended purpose. You be a little creative about it.
Oh, we're gonna get some tips here.
Well, I mean, for my miniature painting and stuff, I buy a lot of stuff from the dollar store. All your Q-tips and toothpicks and things like that.
Yeah.
I recently bought some foam mats that I could use to make a little tabletop battle mat kind of thing.
Yeah. These are all these are the basic necessities that you were talking about earlier. You're referring to?
Yes.
That you need for okay.
Yeah.
Sauce says these aren't those dollar store Marvel figures like the Incredible Bulk.
Incredible Bulk.
Yeah. And Steven says Dollarama is basically an outlet clearance store now, and it kind of rules. Yeah, I don't find. Well, I guess there are some knockoff things there, especially when it comes to tons of comic books. I had no idea they had the amount of comic books that they had there. Well, graphic novels, if you will. But yeah, they're pretty much stuff that they couldn't sell in at regular stores or whatever, and they end up with a whole bunch of them. So
Really?
yeah, pro
That's
tip: if you're
interesting.
looking for graphic novels, like my buddy Frank, he's way into comic books, and he regularly does a Dollarama run. There are several of them here
Mhm.
in Sudbury, and he'll just go to all of them looking for comic books, and he finds like because he's into not necessarily like he likes Superman and the Flash and whatnot, but he also likes like Swamp Thing, which is not a huge comic book, but it's very
Right.
critically acclaimed, and so they sell for a little more. But he's found like a bunch of them on the dollar store. Paid like a dollar
There you go.
25 for them or whatever.
Comic books is one thing that I'm scared to go buy another one because I don't want to get sucked in again and just start buying tons and tons of them.
Yeah, you
I have
can go
nothing.
the graphic novel route, which will give you a fully contained story, right? So for the
Well,
most
yeah,
part,
even that, because over the years I've realized the ones that I've kept, I read them less and less frequently. So I'm kind of, I don't know if I want to get back into it.
yeah. Hey, Deek's here
That's something I do digitally.
from the Distortion Den. Hey, Deek. I still need
Hey.
to watch his latest episode. They did Use Your Illusion. He's been doing like these album videos where they pit one album against another, and he did Guns N'
Hmm.
Roses Use Your Illusion 1 against Use Your Illusion 2, which is the better album. It's just been a
You're
busy
just gonna
week.
say,
It's
hmm.
been a bit of a busy week. I haven't really watched many movies or played many game or stuff because I went out on
Are we
my
getting?
yeah, we can get to it a little bit if you'd like, if you're ready for it.
Sure. I'm waiting because I have questions.
Okay. Well, I went out on my truck run. Uh, the sister-in-law's boyfriend. So I'm just gonna call him the brother-in-law, even though they're not married. I'll just say the brother-in-law because it's just easier. Took me out on a run on what he normally does. He's a certified AZ truck driver. So what he drives is what they call a chip truck, which is
Hmm.
not potato chips. It's actually wood chips. I had before this adventure, I had no idea how big logging is here in Ontario. It's still a massive part of our um, infrastructure and economy. I mean, there are sawmills and need for the products that sawmills make all over Ontario. So that's basically what he does all week is he gets out there and drives all over Ontario delivering he delivers bark, he delivers uh, chips, sawdust, and one other thing. I can't remember what. But anyways, he delivers them all over Ontario. So I went up as far north in Ontario that I've ever been before, and as far uh, west in Ontario as I've ever been before. I made it all the way to Terrence Bay, which is 2 hours away from Thunder Bay, where Deke lives from the Distortion Den. So I was out. That's the closest I've ever been to Deke. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it all the way to Thunder Bay because that would have been really cool. But you know, time is money on the truck. So that's what there's one thing I came away with is time is always at a premium. You're always running on the clock, and because here in Ontario they have a limit for the amount of time that truck drivers are allowed to drive. I don't know if they have that in Japan where they're only allowed to drive so much. Probably in Japan, it's trucking is probably completely different than what it is here.
Well, it's a much smaller space, so I don't
Yeah,
think they have to worry about the people driving all night and
yeah,
staying up way too late.
yeah. So yeah, he does make good money doing driving this truck, but man, it is they are long days. Like I'm talking 16 hours easily.
Mhm.
I think the maximum amount he is allowed to drive is, or his work day. It actually contains his work day is 16 hours. So once his clock starts running, it doesn't stop for anything, even if he is not actually physically driving, which is kind
Mhm.
of uh, a bit of an ass backwards way to do it because there is a lot of downtime while driving. Um,
Mhm.
Especially when he's waiting to get get a load. Like there was 2 hours one time that we're sitting at a sawmill waiting for his truck to be loaded, and that's 2 hours that he can't drive, right? And if he doesn't
Mhm.
make the delivery, he doesn't make any money. You're not paid by the hour. You're
Mm.
paid by uh, the amount that you deliver. And he's a very determined guy. He's very driven, and he, uh, makes it a point to get his delivery done every day. Um,
Mhm.
and it's unless his truck breaks down or something like that, and it's quite stressful. So, like for instance, he came pick me up. We started at well, he came and got me around 5:30 that morning on Monday morning, and we drove up 2 hours north of Sudbury to a place called, oh, I can't remember the name of it. It was out in the middle of nowhere. These sawmills are out in the middle of nowhere too. Like
Mhm.
there's no town around it or anything like that. And then he has to drive through uh, mud, basically mud trails to get to these logging sawmills. And they, just with a regular, semi 10-wheel transport, and somehow they make it through. They get through like, this thick. It was very rainy too when we went. So it's like soggy and wet, and just everything was a mess. So we get there, and you're already, because it took us, about 2.5 hours to get there. You're already 2.5 hours. And it took him another 2 hours to get loaded. And once he's loaded, then you're finally on the road from the sawmill to the processing plant. I guess I
Mm.
can't remember exactly. The first load he got, it was actually bark, and they use these factories use bark to uh, to burn for kilns to
Mhm.
cure things. I can't remember what they were making, but it was like clay something or whatever. And so in these kilns, they like to use bark because it burns quickly and gets hot really fast. And that's basically what they need for a kiln. And it's really cheaper than using any other source for heat. So that's what we did. We drove from. I didn't drive. I just sat in the passenger seat while he drove from. Uh, I guess it was about an hour outside of Timmins, which is where Shania Twain was born. That's her hometown. So I was
Mm.
we drove all the way up to very close to Timmins. We didn't actually make it into Timmins. Then we headed west to Wawa, and then we went up Highway 17 through White River all the way to Terrence Bay to this thing. Now, once we got
I
to,
got one question there. You
yep,
said Terrence Bay?
Terrence Bay, yep.
Okay, I'm looking that up and I get Terrence Bay, Nova Scotia.
Uh, I hope I'm saying it right. Let me see here. Now you're gonna make me search. I'm pretty sure it was Terrence Bay. There might be a
Because I
Terrence
don't know
Bay,
much
Nova
about
Scotia.
Canadian geography,
Yeah,
but I know Nova Scotia is all the way on the other side.
Terrence Bay, Ontario.
Terrence Bay, Ontario.
T
Okay,
E
there
R
we are.
R A C E Bay. Terrace Bay. I
Oh,
guess
Terrace.
I'm
Okay,
not saying it right. I'm saying it with my Canadian accent. Terrace Bay. I'm saying Terrence. Terrace Bay.
Terrace Bay. Okay, I got
Yeah.
you there.
Okay. There we go. So yeah, it's far. It's far. I
Mm.
remember like when you're driving to um from Toronto back up to Sudbury, there's a sign for the city of Wawa, or its town, really, this tiny little town of Wawa. And it says, you're only 600 kilometers away from the town of Wawa. And we always laugh. I'm like, that's so far away. I went 4 or 5 hours past Wawa that day. Terrorist Bay. Yes, it was Terrorist Bay. Rocket sauce.
Now, for the majority of these drives, are you just out like open road, nothing around, just trees and
Yep.
flat earth? That's it.
Not flat earth. Northern Ontario is part of the Canadian Shield, and it's very hilly. So there are a lot of hills, a lot of turns, curves to get around the hills, and then go over rivers and lakes. It's so like we took some major highways, but then there are highways in Northern Ontario that are a little smaller, and they're basically glorified logging trails. They're paved and all that, but they're basically there for the trucks to get through, because there's not just chip trucks. There are actual logging trucks that bring logs and whatnot, and it's all part of just logging. It's really amazing. I had no idea. It was very eye-opening as to how big the whole thing is. But once we got to, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got a couple of questions, so you go ahead and finish that thought.
Well, once we got to Terrace Bay. Anyways, once we got to TB, we it took us another 2 hours to unload this haul, because there was a problem with the equipment, and eventually there was an engineer that had to come and fix the thing and all that. He puts the back of the trailer onto this hydraulic lift, and it lifts the whole trailer up and then tilts it over to empty the load. But it was raining, and since there was so much rain, the bark was actually sticking to the bottom of the truck. So he had to raise it like so high to try to get it out, and the hydraulic machine eventually broke. So that was, since it was 2.5 hours to get out of there, he ran out of time. So we basically, the plan was that we were going to drive back to White River, and at White River, there's basically a fork in the road where because the dispatch tells him where he's going to be going the next day, and it all depends on where he is, how much time he has, and where the next order is. So he wanted to make it to White River so he could get up and go basically backtrack the way we came in case we had to go back to that logging area where we picked up the chips, or we might be driving up further north. But we couldn't make it that far. So since he was out of time, it's very common here to see just trucks on the sides of roads all the time. Like truck drivers just pull over, and they have the big cab inside of their cab. They got bunks and everything inside their cabs, and they go to sleep right there. But brother-in-law, he's been around. He's been doing this for 26 years, so he kind of knows where all the nooks and crannies are. So he actually pulled into a baseball field that the town really has abandoned as a baseball field, and they just use it there to pile their excess snow. I'm going to try to start pronouncing things right. And I don't know why. Like I never have. Why start now? But anyway, so yeah, we slept. So we just slept there all night. And now here in Sudbury, it is springtime, right? We are experiencing nice, warm weather. I'm in t-shirt and shorts today. I think it got up to 24 today, or close to it. Up there, now this was last week, but still up there, it was a snowstorm. We're sitting in this thing, and overnight, there was just about 2 or 3 inches of snow that had fallen, and it was just like whipping outside of this cab. I had the top bunk, he had the lower bunk. We were nice and warm because the cab has like an indoor heater kind of thing, and that thing just cranks out lots of heat. So we were all good, and I had my sleeping bag, which is very warm. But when we got up, and he gets up at 4 a.m. In part to not so he doesn't have to deal with as much traffic. When you get up early, you get out there and you can kind of drive at your own pace. With there isn't as much traffic impeding your goal to get to where you need to go. But he was driving in the middle of a snowstorm. It was like that. I don't know if you must have driven in a snowstorm living in New Jersey, and you know how like you're driving through and the headlights are picking up the snow, and it's like that.
Yeah, it's just coming straight at your windshield.
Yeah, it's like you're in Star Wars, right? When the Millennium Falcon takes off, and I'm like, my God, this is insane. It's May, and it's snowing. So yeah, so then we had to go. So he did have to drive north. He couldn't double back. He had to drive north. So we had to drive. We were 2.5 hours behind because we had to drive back to White River. And we went all the way up to Hertz, Ontario, Hearst. And there was another sawmill that had, so this one he was picking up a mixture of wood chips and sawdust. And it was a plant in Sault Ste. Marie that needed it. And they make particle board. That's right. Sarah says Hearst. I have a real problem with that one. Hearst, Ontario.
Hearst.
Anyways, is this next to Screenville or Cape Fear? Nowhere near those places. Terrace Bay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, so that was the furthest north I had ever been. So we get to this one. Yeah. So he's getting that, and he was driving it down to Sault Ste. Marie to a plant that uses this mixture to make particle board. They basically throw the wood chips and sawdust together and throw a bunch of chemicals in it and then press it, and that makes your particle board. So that was that was all day once again. We didn't hit Sault Ste. Marie until I think 4 or 5 o'clock. Then it took an hour for this, to unload once again. But this place was much better set up. All their equipment and everything was indoors. So at this point, he wasn't sure if they were going to which way they were going to send him. He was going to be sent again from dispatch. But if we made it early enough, we would have been able to go home. And go home that, like, he would drive to Sudbury and spend the night in Sudbury, which he often does. But since we were so far behind, he actually wanted to make a shortcut on Highway 129, basically drive a quarter of the way to Sudbury and then just start heading back up north, because it would just cut off a chunk of time. But honestly, by then I was ready to go home because it was so long. So he said, we can do that, or I can go back to Sudbury and drive you home. And I'm like, you know what? I think I got it. I think I got what's going on here, and I think I'm okay. But that was the first night. That night we got to spend at a truck stop, at an actual choke and puke. So I got to go to the Husky. And I had meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Oh my God. It wasn't very good, meatloaf and mashed potatoes, but it was hot, and it just felt so good to eat like a hot meal, like not in a truck, like bouncing around. That's the one thing, like these trucks, you get in them, and when that engine comes on, the whole thing just starts rumbling. He's got the most obnoxious, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, he has the most obnoxious ringtone on his phone. It's just this, it's actually the sound of a truck's air brakes, or engine brake, I should say. Like, you ever hear, like when you hear highway noises and you hear, like when you hear
okay,
the semi trucks. Well, that is the truck's engine brake. They're not using the air brakes. They're just letting their foot off the gas, and the engine actually starts working to slow down when you let it. it's in case like it's basically like a safety thing in case like the guy, you fall asleep or whatever. They don't want this
Mhm.
big like truck full of momentum, going full speed. So as soon as you let your foot off the gas, that brake starts kicking on, and it
Mm.
like it's not like a full on brake, so you stop. It just starts slowing you down till eventually
Mm.
you'll stop, kind of thing. So that's his ringtone. It's like this annoying thing. And
Mhm.
when we're sitting around with the family and that, and this thing's going off, it's kind of like, geez, what's with that? But it's the only thing you can hear inside of this truck cab. It is so friggin' noisy with all the noise.
Mhm.
He's got a bit of an older truck too. It's probably about 15 years old or so. So it's not exactly state of the art, but yeah, so I can see why he has that ringtone, because he's constantly needing to use that phone in order to be in communication with dispatch and uh, with other people too, giving him road reports and all that. Um,
Mhm.
there's one thing I really enjoyed about it is like how everybody there is like really real salt of the earth people. Like they're really nice, down to earth, like everyone you communicate with and all that, they're all there to like help you. They understand like how difficult the job is. And like for instance, you'll pass a truck and he'll be like, hey, I just came on at Nipagon or whatever, and you're clear to there, or there's a smoky about 20 minutes up the road or
No,
whatever.
somebody say
They
Smokey.
say smoky, they say 10-4. They don't use CBs anymore. They use well, you can use CB, but most of them use two-way radios, which are
Mhm.
kind of like a little better technology. But yeah, they all use that speak. And then you get like guys with the real thick French Canadian accents. Like every
Mhm.
single one of these places we stopped at, there was a guy there named Claude, and he was the best. Doesn't matter where we were. There was a guy named Claude, and he was the best at his job. Like we pull
Claude,
up,
is
he's
that
like,
like a traditional name?
"That is a traditional French Canadian name," and I swear to God,
Mhm.
it's like every time I'm like, "Oh, I hope Claude is loading us today because he's the best." Oh, I hope, and then we get to another place. Oh, I hope Claude is working in the yard today because he's the best. Like, are all these guys named Claude? So there you go. If I was to have a son, I would name him Claude because he would be the best.
Well, you answered a lot of my questions there. I still got a few more.
Okay.
One, are there any pictures?
I do have a ton of photos. I didn't really get to take some good photos though, because you're in the truck. You don't have time to stop, right,
Mhm.
and take pictures. It's not a sightseeing cruise. You're just constantly going. Um,
There's no, you didn't do like the selfie out the window?
Not a selfie. No, I
No.
I don't know if I've ever. I think I have. Have I taken a selfie? I must have taken a selfie at some point,
Mm.
but I'm
What
not
what was
really a.
your what was your attire like? Was it sleeveless flannel, trucker hat? What were
No,
you
I
doing?
had I did think of wearing that, but no, I had just my one of my old hoodies. I didn't wear anything like fancy or anything like that because there is a lot of mud and dirt involved in so
Mm,
I didn't want to ruin anything nice or whatever. So
okay.
yeah, just a hoodie, just I stuff I've worn while doing this show.
Okay. Sauce wants to know if you got to drive.
I did not get to drive. It would have been very it would not have been there was just no time. That's the one thing.
Mhm.
It's like we have no time. I mean, we
Well,
got
yeah, I mean, especially in this situation, then you're messing with his paycheck by
yeah,
letting
and
you
like I
fiddle
said,
around with the truck.
he's very determined to get that load every day, like to just do one every day. He's like, there's other guys that will do like 3 a week kind of thing, and they're happy with
Mhm.
that, right? And they'll stop at the truck stops and they'll talk for hours and all that. But he's like, I don't have time for that. I just go, and I'm like, hey, we're on your schedule. We will do what we will do it the way you do it. And like the first night, we weren't finished until 8 o'clock. By the time he finally got
Mhm.
that, and we were at the ballpark. So 8 o'clock comes, we finally eat supper. Just heat up something in the microwave, and then phone the women, and then go to bed. And then he's up at 4 a.m. And then the next day when we actually got to stop at the truck stop, that was a treat because we were finished by 6, so we were able to sit and eat. And then they had showers there, so we were able to take a shower. And then we got back into the cab, phoned the women, and went to bed. And then you're up at 4 a.m. doing it again. You know?
All right. Sounds like a life of discipline. Did they call you Greenhorn?
I don't know what that means. Is that a new trucker? Greenhorn. Nobody called me Greenhorn.
No. Well, how long were you actually out there? How many days?
2 days.
Just 2 days. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it really was 2.5. I got home at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, but when you start at 4 a.m., that kind of feels like a half a day.
How big is this chip truck? Is it like one of those really long trailers?
No, it's a regular 10-wheel truck, right?
10-wheeler.
So
hang on. I'm gonna get a picture of this.
yeah, so it's got like the 4 in the back. It's got like a belly on it, and they have that to so the stuff kind of sinks towards the front. Like if you don't want stuff shifting in there, you want it you want your weight on the tongue kind of thing, so it doesn't move around too much. But it's just a regular truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it called the Pork Chop Express?
The truck. Do you want to know the name of the truck or?
Yeah.
The name of the truck is the Purple Nurple.
The Purple Nurple.
Because it is purple, and he's very proud of his purple truck. And I wore purple today in honor of the Purple Nurple. Actually, that's just a happy coincidence. I didn't think, but he has the only purple truck out there, so he's immediately recognized when he drives by the other guys, and they're right on the radio all the time because they recognize the purple truck.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And when you were at the truck stop, how much arm wrestling did you do?
I did none. There was no arm wrestling.
Was it going on like in the background? Were there guys like doing the arm wrestling or smashing bottles over each other's heads?
No, none of that.
They didn't put the bottle on the shoulder and then someone like shoot it off.
No, this truck stop we were at was kind of the corporate version of a truck stop, if you will. It was very sterile, just it wasn't like that you see in the movies, where you're at the bar and the country music's playing and there's a fight that's ready to break out. It was very much like you're sitting at a McDonald's or something like that. Just the food that they serve is a little more home cooked, I guess, if you want, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
A lot of gravy.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. It was. It was very enlightening.
So you're gonna do it again?
So that is why I had to buy this to keep papers in, because I am on May 29th. I'm going back to school and I'm getting my AZ driver's license.
Oh, look at you!
I am going to be driving semi trucks out on the roads of Ontario. So
look at you, living the dream. All those big truck simulators are paying off.
That's right. Well, part of my motivation to do this was a lot of the jobs here in Sudbury. They are looking for drivers. They're looking for AZ drivers, everything from AZ all the way down to General G. And there are not only are there a ton of jobs, but you basically, once you have a little bit of experience, you pretty much have the choice of going wherever and doing whatever you want. So I'm not necessarily interested in what he does. That is a little hardcore. Plus you are away from home far too often. But once you have this license, it's something that you can have in your back pocket and pretty much just get a job anywhere you want in Canada, anywhere you go. It's an invaluable skill, and something that you can fall back on if something, something tough happens or whatever. You will have this skill that as long as you can drive, you'll be able to utilize and be able to make money. So I looked into taking the course, and it's only a 6-week course, and it's a good
Oh,
time
that's
to
it. 6 weeks.
6 weeks. And this is one of the more advanced ones too. You can get your driver's license in a lot less. But this place, because I did my research, a lot of places they just take you out. They'll take you out on the truck in a parking lot. Make sure you can back up. Make sure you can go forward, and it's just an empty truck, right? This place actually gets you some experience and gets you ready for your road test. They'll take you out on the streets. They'll take you out on runs with a full run. All sorts of different things too. So I decided to go. I could get a lot less. Like I could get a lesser driver's license. Like they have DZ, which will let you drive dump trucks and stuff like that. But once you have your AZ, you can do anything. You can drive pretty much anything. There's a little bit of I think you have to go for a little bit of different training if you want to drive a bus because there's passengers involved. So I think you need like CPR or something like that, stuff like that. But for this, I could drive pretty much any vehicle once I pass this course. So and they have a good job placement too. They have a company in Canada. They're a big corporation, Manitoulin. They drive. There's Manitoulin trucks all over Canada and they have all sorts of jobs in there. So you don't have to do long, haul trucking. You don't have to go across Canada and stay in there. There's all sorts of like, especially here with all the mines and everything. You can drive dump trucks. You can drive payloaders, all sorts of things. So, yeah. So what the heck? Why not get into that?
Why not?
Yeah.
If you do get your license, though, if you go to drive, do you have to provide your own truck, or are there jobs where you just drive whatever they have?
Jobs where you can do both. You can have your own truck. You can start your own trucking business. You can drive for a company. They will provide the truck for you, do all the maintenance. There are advantages and disadvantages of both. That's part of the reason why my brother-in-law likes the situation that he's in, because he's driving for a company. They own the truck, but the Purple Nurple is his truck. He's the only one that drives it. So the advantage of driving a truck for a company is that when it breaks down, they fix it. All the maintenance and all that is upkept by then. All of the gas prices go up. Who cares? The company's paying for it. It doesn't affect you one iota. The disadvantage is that it's not your truck. It is the company's truck, and they can give it to anyone to drive. So for instance, like he has some back problems. So he has a special mattress in his truck. If he's driving for a company, you can't do that, right? You're just using whatever mattress is there in the truck kind of thing. A lot of people have things set up the way they want it. They have it, they have their coolers set up where they want it. They have, if you want to, so all that stuff, like if you want to bring a cooler with you, if you want to bring a kettle with you, if you want to bring a certain mattress with you or whatever, you're going to have to take all that stuff out of your house, lug it to this truck, wherever the truck is, load it all up into the truck, and now you can start your day, right? Whereas he has everything in there. It's all ready to go. He gets up at 4 a.m. at home. He gets into his thing. He gets his food together and his clothes together, and he's off to the races. So there are advantages and disadvantages to both, right? So yeah, Sauce wants to know if I'm going to be smuggling Coors beer into Canada. I don't think we have to do that anymore. I think Coors beer is available everywhere. That's gone the way of the dodo when there was certain regions where you can only get beer. It's kind of funny though. Pop is like that, right? Soda's like that. Like we're watching MASH and Radar keeps going on about this grape knee high.
Grape knee high, yeah.
Grape knee high. And I'm like, what is that? I really want to try that. And it's not like, I always thought it was grape. And then, the knee, like that thing in your leg, high. But it's grape, NIHI. And it's some sort of grape pop that's only in Iowa or where he's from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it's in like a
I always
Midwest.
thought it was just like a grape soda, just a
It
generic.
is. It is, but the brand, that Grape Knee-High brand, it's like a Midwestern soda pop kind of thing.
Hmm.
And you can still get it there, but everywhere else in the world, it's called Grape Crush. Like Crush.
Hmm.
It's like there's
Okay.
Orange Crush and Grape Crush.
Yeah, I don't really drink
It's
soda anymore.
not me, but I was just curious as to what it was. So,
Hmm.
anyways, it's pretty much the same thing. Grape Crush and Grape Knee-High are the same thing. It's just worded differently. Anyways,
Mhm.
Steven wants to know if you can have a Kevin Convoy. Is that like Kevin Conroy?
That's what I thought he wrote.
Mm.
We
And he
got a
wants to know
great
if I
big
can.
convoy. Ain't she a beautiful sight?
And he wants to know if I
We got
can
to get
live
you the
stream.
microphone.
If I can live stream my drives. I don't have the data plan to live stream anything that's not hooked up to Wi-Fi. So,
Do you want to see 8 hours of snow coming towards the windshield?
yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to film, to record a drive, and I know people do that and people do watch them, but plenty of other people do it, so you can just go watch them do it.
So we can expect in about 3 recordings from now, you'll be able to show off your fancy new license.
I guess so. Yeah, it's gonna be mid 6 weeks, so it's gonna be mid June, I guess. Right? No, May 29th, mid July. Yeah, it'll be mid July.
Well, do you have a start date? Do you know when you're
May
starting all this?
29th.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be all of June and part of July before I have the actual license. And then what
How
I'll be
far do you
doing.
have to go for this training? Is
Oh,
it
it's
online or do you have to
that,
go somewhere?
that's the beauty of it. It's just down the street from me. I'm
Oh,
in
okay.
Chelmsford. It's in the town Lively, so it's about 15 minutes away. And then a lot of their book learning stuff is done online.
Okay.
I actually next week I have to go in and bring in my computer so they can set it up for me so I can do it online.
Mm-hmm.
Because I imagine a lot of people that they get really don't know much about computers, and I'm like, I'd probably be fine, but whatever. Anyways,
All right.
there you
Cool.
go. So
Look at you trying to better yourself. I just been watching movies and stuff.
well, I mean, it's out of necessity too. I'm just kind of sitting here doing nothing, but watching Dukes of Hazzard all day, and I'm like, I'm probably not ready for retirement just quite yet. I think I need to go out and do something. And I have been looking for work, for a job, but there's like, for someone with my skill set, there's really just not much out there, and they're just crying for truck drivers all the time. And I understand that it's hard work and it's not, like you're out there in all the elements, driving in all the elements and all that, but eventually you can get yourself into a pocket where it's comfortable and it'll work for you, kind of thing. So
Nice. Well,
there you
good
go.
luck with it.
Yeah,
have fun.
Thanks. What's
Then
this?
we got to get you a truck just so I can find out what you'd name it.
Steven said, consider all those desert bus streams, though. They pay for all the data. I don't know. People stream themselves driving through deserts? Is that what he's talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. And he just finished The House of Dragon. Oh, is that the spinoff of don't forget your piss jugs. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big discussion.
Okay.
Whether or not there was going to be piss jugs between Sarah and I, because we're huge trailer park fans, and Sarah's like, that was the first question she had for me on that first. So is there piss jugs? And I have to report there was no piss jugs. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
You just stopped frequently?
Well,
side of the road?
Well, you what you do basically is you time your coffee to the next town, kind of thing. So like if you're going to be coming into town, like you're an hour coming into town, that's when you have your coffee, kind of thing.
Right.
But there was see, here's the thing. So like, for instance, that night that we were in the baseball ballpark, and before you go to bed, you got to pee. So you kind of go outside. But I'm telling you, I got outside, and I'm okay with peeing outside. But in the middle of a winter storm, I whipped it out, and my dick just said, "Nope, not happening here." And I'm like, and my bladder's like, "Hey, we're full," and my dick's like, "Nope, not happening here. It is way too cold, and it's blowing all over the place."
Hmm.
And so I came back into the truck, and I'm like, I can't go. It's just too crazy out there, you know. And he's like, what you gotta do is you gotta go in between the cab and the trailer. So I'm like, all right, let me try that. So I went back there, and then there's a nice pocket in there where there's no where the wind is cut. You're cut off from the wind. He had the truck angled just so you're like behind the trailer, so the wind is blowing around you, and then that's where the magic happened right there.
There you go. There's some trucker secrets.
Yeah.
I love peeing outside. Any chance I get.
All right. That's good to know. Well, I have when you come here to visit, I have a nice big backyard, and you can just go back there and
I'll excuse myself right
yes,
away. Yes.
that's right. I mean, we have 2 toilets, but
What's
you
the
do
fun
you.
in that?
Yeah, you do you.
Yeah.
It just angles it out the window. That's Steven. Oh, and the
Uh,
desert stream is a charity stream. All right. Well, maybe I'll find a way to hook into that, to tap into that.
hmm.
So there you go. That's my
All right.
adventure. I've been talking for 51 minutes already. My God.
Well, you have.
I know. That's pretty sad. What have you been up to?
Hmm. I built a whole lot of miniatures that I have yet to paint. I watched a bunch of movies.
Did you?
I went to work. Mother's Day's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
same old stuff.
All right.
Well, I have some movies I could talk about.
Yeah.
And I got a future movie that I can complain about.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, for everyone waiting for the Zelda report, we know the new Zelda game came out today. That'll be happening at the end of the show. We'll come back on and we're going to talk about our experiences playing Zelda and how much we love it. And yeah, how we both give it 10 out of 10. Spoiler alert.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I tried to limit this to 5, but I have 7.
Movies?
You're gonna have to cut me off at one point. Yeah.
Well, we got 40
I couldn't
minutes.
just-
Let's go. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Okay, I'll start with something that I'm guessing you don't enjoy or maybe have not seen. Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
I have never seen that. I'm
Okay.
curious about it.
It's a pretty bleak movie. I enjoyed it for what it is. It's if you've seen Texas Chainsaw or any other like
Mhm.
Hannibal family in the wilderness kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange though. The actor here, Michael Berryman, who's on the cover,
Yeah.
is not the star, but I mean they had Michael Berryman, so I guess they just made him the poster child for this movie.
Is that the guy from Goonies?
No, that's
Oh.
not. That was I forget his name. Matsuzak. Matsuzak. I don't know. He was in I think Weird Science. He was like a biker in that. He's done a bunch of things just because he has a very distinct face.
Yeah.
But kind of a bleak movie. I was like when it ended, I was like, oh, that's it. That's how they end it. But it was one of those cheap, low budget, horror movies of the early '80s. What year was this? I don't know. Sometime in the early '80s. It was an interesting watch. You ever hear of this movie, Cop Car, with the Kevin Bacon?
I've seen that's another one I've seen around, but I've never actually watched it. How's that?
Like 2 kids steal a cop car, and he's the cop that has to try to get it back,
Ah.
and stuff happens. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's 88 minutes, which is very nice. Yeah, I can't really say too much about it because it spoils anything. It is
Oh,
very simple. But it's a nice 88 minutes. So if you're curious, give it a shot.
I am. All right. I'm
Mm.
writing that down. Cop car.
Cop Car is good. It's the only thing I didn't like is the ending.
Mm,
It's got one of those semi-ambiguous
mm.
endings where I wish they had just decided here's what happens. I kind of see how it works being ambiguous, but yeah. Um, this one I won't say much about. I watched Ghost Ship. Did you ever see Ghost Ship?
That came out like wasn't that around Titanic time or something or
You're probably right. That was probably one of the things that
If-
got it greenlit. It's like, oh, boats
yeah, boats are the
will
thing.
make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Juliana Margulies from ER,
Mm.
and yeah, this is probably I can't see the dates on these.
Isn't
Something like
someone
that,
like
late '90s, early 2000s, something like
is it
that.
one of the filmmakers like a notable filmmaker that's tied to that movie?
Make me look. There's a sticker covering the director's name on the back.
I thought I remembered something about that movie.
If only I had the internet, I could look this up.
I got it. I got the internet. What so so you haven't watched it yet or is it any good or what?
No, I did watch it.
Oh,
2002. There you
yeah.
go.
Oh, okay. Well, it might have been like you know how like James Cameron was in that Titanic mode, and then he was coming up with like documentaries about the Titanic
Uh,
and all that. I just remember a lot of boat things around the 2000s, early 2000s. There's so many
it could
boat
be.
movies.
Who
It's written
directed
by
this? Steve Beck. Written by Mark Hanlon, John Pogue.
I might be thinking of a different movie. I don't know.
Robert Zemeckis was one of the producers.
Okay, maybe that was it. That sounds
Uh,
right. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah, it's Robert Zemeckis. Okay.
If you've seen the first Resident Evil movie and like Deep Blue Sea,
Yeah.
it's that kind of a movie where
Yeah.
it's not very good, but it's also kind of watchable. Just like, it is what it is. There was a neat scene though. Actually, though, I did read up. Juliana Margulies said she agreed to do it because the script was kind of like a psychological horror thing.
Yeah.
And then when she showed up on set, they had rewritten it to where it was just gore fest.
Ah.
And there was a pretty interesting scene at the beginning that's kind of gory and stuff. So that was kind of neat. Here's another movie I wonder if you've ever seen. The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Never seen it.
I have avoided this movie for a very long time because Tim Curry in stockings there on the cover. I was always wondering, like, oh gosh, do I really want to watch Tim Curry walk around in stockings for most of the movie? And yes, I do. I thought this movie was fantastic.
Really?
I can't believe how much I enjoyed it. It's a musical. I didn't know that. I know it's like a big Broadway stage play, whatever thing, but I never knew anything about it. And watching it, I was thoroughly entertained, beginning to end. Everything was interesting, crazy, visually exciting. There was just lots of
Really?
stuff going on.
You know,
It's a weird movie. I don't. I can imagine why some people would absolutely hate it, but I also understand why so many people love it.
I
It's
saw
just
it in a thrift
a
store
roller coaster.
I saw it in a thrift store the other day, and every time I mention it to Sarah, I'm like, "Hey, you want it?" She's like, I don't really want to own that movie. I don't mind it, but I don't want to own it. I'm like, okay, so I never got
Oh,
around.
this is one of those rental DVDs I picked up. I
Yeah.
will absolutely be searching for a higher quality
Steven
format for
says
this
no
movie.
time warp for Kevin. Let me tell you,
Uh,
I thought that song was a Meatloaf song or something.
Meatloaf's
Anyway,
in it.
okay, does he do the time warp? Is he
He is not in the time warp, but he does play a character in the film.
Well, I was never interested in that song or whatever. They would play it all the time at weddings and
It's
whatever.
super
It's a time
catchy.
warp. But then the Tenacious D, Almighty D did a cover of that song. Oh my
Mhm.
God. I was suddenly a fan of that song. I probably watched that video like 20 times in a row. I love the Tenacious D version of that song.
I'll check it out.
Sauce says it's a great soundtrack. There you go.
A lot of good
They,
music in here. A
they
lot of
still
good stuff.
do a monthly showing here in Milwaukee. That's interesting. Because I
I've
know,
heard there's all those midnight screenings and stuff
yeah,
like
and they
that.
throw toast at the screen at a certain time. All
Yeah,
that.
like I have like I really enjoyed watching this movie. I can think of nothing I would rather do less than actually attend one of these things.
Yeah, throw toast at the screen. Come on.
No, no, I never, but the movie's fantastic.
All
I
right.
can't wait to watch it again.
I'm gonna
And
have
it
to
has
check it out.
Barry Bostwick.
I like Barry Bostwick. He's
Barry
good.
Bostwick as the mayor
Oh, there you go.
of Spin City.
Yeah.
I watched a Kevin movie.
Smokey and the Bandit.
No, Copland.
Oh, I love that movie. There you go. You're
It
all
was
about the
really good.
cops, cop cars, cop land.
This was very, very good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot. And man, I always forget how good Stallone can be when he's given the right dramatic material.
Yeah.
He was so likable in this movie.
Yeah.
It was kind of hitting towards like original Rocky, where he's this kind of you really
Slow.
sympathize with this
Yeah.
guy. He's like just, he doesn't have it all together. He's such a nice guy. You want to root for him, but he's not going for it. And his town's all out of control and everything. But by the end of it, he's throw down your weapons and prepare to be judged.
Yes.
Going Judge Dredd mode.
Spoiler alert.
Wow. Very
didn't
good
care-
movie.
Sauce and, there's a Copland too, or is there a Rocket? Which movie are you talking about that you didn't like the sequel to? Rocket Sauce.
Is there a Cop? Can you have a sequel to Copland?
I don't think so. I would imagine, but who knows?
The only thing that confused me though is right at the beginning of the movie. I think it was was it Keitel or De Niro? One of them's doing the narration at the beginning and talking about how back in the 70s they set up this town for all
Yep.
these cops and
Okay.
everything. So in my mind I was thinking, oh, this movie takes place in the 70s.
Ah,
And then De Niro's there with like the weird mustache and T-1000, what's his name? Robert Patrick is in
Yeah.
there and he's got like a weird mustache. I'm like, oh, this is a 70s film, but it takes place in New Jersey. And I was looking at license plates and I'm like, those aren't the 1970s New Jersey license plates. Those are the 1990s license plates. And sure enough, eventually I saw a newspaper and I saw VHS tapes. I'm like, oh, okay. For whatever reason, I thought it was like
that
a
was the
period
backstory.
piece.
Yeah, it was the backstory. Yeah.
No, but very entertaining. Very nice. Now, I have to end on kind of a sour note here.
All right, that's my favorite.
Well, I was very excited to watch these. It's 2 films, but I guess popular opinion is absolutely correct. I watched some of the later Ernest movies.
Yeah.
I saw Ernest Rides Again and Ernest in the Army, which was the last Ernest movie.
Mm.
They're not good. They're not good. I thought, because I genuinely enjoy like Goes to Jail and Scared Stupid and stuff. I thought they were a lot of fun, but same creative force, same Jim Varney, same shtick, but for some reason it just doesn't work.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, parts of it there were some things in there that I did enjoy, but overall it's just a combination of factors. The budget wasn't there, the script wasn't there, and even Jim Varney, like he said, he was kind of disinterested in the character towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Both him and the director, the guy who created him, was just like, I kind of don't want to do this anymore. They were just making money.
Right.
Plus, Ernest in the Army, that was towards the end when Jim Varney was genuinely very ill
Yeah.
because he died just a couple of years later.
That's
Kinda
too
sad.
bad. Yeah. Uh, I, yeah. Just watch the first few then. Remember
The
the good.
theatrical releases, yeah.
Yeah. Remember the good stuff. So Sauce says Rocky Horror has a sequel.
Really?
Well, there you go.
Is Tim Curry in it again?
We have the internet. We have the
Oh, right.
technology. I
Uh,
Rocky Horror 2, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do the time warp again. Is that what it's called? 2016. Is that one? Oh my goodness, I don't know. I can't. If I can't find it right away,
American Music Comedy television film.
that just doesn't seem like a good idea. Just,
No.
you know. There's a reason why it went straight to VHS. Okay, so we might be talking about something a little older.
Yeah, and it just looks like, is it just a remake?
I don't know.
I don't know. Tim Curry was fantastic.
All right, well, I'm curious. I kind of want to see it.
And kind of on a side note, Tim Curry should have got an Oscar for his portrayal in Clue.
In Clue? In what?
Clue. You ever seen
Clue.
Clue?
No, you know, I have not seen that. It's on my list to
Clue
watch.
is fantastic. It's a wonderful movie, and by the third act, Tim Curry is so devoted to his performance. He has an amazing sequence that
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. He deserved some like serious accolades for that.
Well, those Oscars, especially at that time, are very snobby towards movies like Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a goofy comedy.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's got so many people, like Christopher Lloyd, you got Michael McKean.
I mean,
the cast is great.
This might have changed since, but I remember for the longest time, Kevin Kline in A Fish Called Wanda, he was like the only guy that had won an Oscar for a comedy.
Yeah, best supporting actor for a comedy.
Yeah. I don't know if since then, because I haven't really kept up on, like, I don't care who wins, so I haven't really kept up on it. But
well, technically, that last year's that Everything Everywhere, that's kind of
is that a comedy? Is it?
Yeah, comedy drama kind of. It definitely has its comedic moments. I did.
Yeah. Did you like it? You liked it?
That's pretty good. It's one of those movies that you go like, it's pretty good. It was well done. I'm probably not going to watch it again. Like it's not the kind of movie that sticks with you.
Yeah. You know, I did like the part where Short Round was kicking people with his
fanny pack.
Fanny pack. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. That was fun, but.
You know, actually, one of the other movies I picked up from the rental buyout thing is Fierce Creatures, the follow-up to A Fish Called Wanda.
Yeah.
Not so good?
I saw it in the theater, and yeah, I'm imagining it's kind of like the Ernest movie. It's like you got all the same cast together, but it's just not working. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It didn't have the like. A Fish Called Wanda. That movie is a bit of a lightning in a bottle, right? Yeah, it just had. Basically, you had Kevin Kline's character and Michael Palin's character, which are oddball characters that could have come off as very wrong. But
yeah, the Michael Palin character, especially, you feel like the film is so close to jumping over the line.
Yeah, but they somehow like keep it together, and I mean, that stuff. It's very rare when you can pull that off. And Fierce Creatures, from what I remember, it's been. I mean, when did that movie come out? Late 90s. They try to do that again. They all play different characters and try to do the ensemble, but the characters that they're playing, they just don't work. I think it's like Kevin Kline, I think, plays 4 I think 3 or 4 characters in the movie, and it's
Well, you could see the Monty Python influence then there. They're kind of doing that. Take all the same performers, put them in different roles,
yeah. But
just go for the yucks.
like sometimes when for the sequel or whatever, like you like this character that this actor played. Well, in this movie, he's going to play several different characters. Like kind of Mike Myers kind of fell into that trap a bit with the
Yeah.
Austin Powers movies, right? He had 2 awesome characters in the first movie, and then he kept just adding characters. By that third movie, I think he was playing 4 or 5, right? You had
At least 4. It was Powers,
Austin,
Doctor Evil, Fat Bastard, Goldmember,
Goldmember. Yeah, that might be it.
maybe
Maybe
somebody
4.
else in there.
And it's like I like that movie. I think it's good, but it is a little too much. Like it's a little too much Mike Myers, which is weird to say for a Mike Myers film. But anyways. Okay.
Well, that's kind of a perfect lead into something else I want to complain about,
All
being
right.
an old man on the internet.
Yeah.
Now it's not 100% that it's going to be terrible. Probably it would be mediocre and forgettable. And there's a slim chance that it might actually work well. But apparently, after 35 years, they're finally going to go ahead with a Beetlejuice sequel.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's probably more in the forgettable mediocre range. That's the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that Michael Keaton finally gets to do it again because he's been championing in for this.
Has he? He's been
ever
pushing
since
for this?
he always wanted to do more Beetlejuice. He was so excited for it
Okay.
after that first film. So I'm sure he will be good in his performance of Beetlejuice again. But he was Beetlejuice was used so sparingly in that first film,
Yeah.
and the bulk of the film was all around the couple and the house and the new family coming in. So there was so many elements to that movie that made it work.
Well,
Even the kind of the cheap effects and the claymation and all that, everything kind of brought it together. I'm just afraid that the new one is going to fall into the okay, we have to have the possession dance again. Okay, we have to have this happen again. Okay, we're not going to have Jeffrey Jones. We're not going to have Alec Baldwin or Gina Davis. Maybe they'll get Winona Ryder to come back. I don't know.
yeah, it's kind of like a little bit like Ghostbusters too. I know I bring everything back to Ghostbusters because but part of what makes Ghostbusters such a great movie, and you can say this about Beetlejuice as well, is it's the sense of discovery, right? What they're
Yeah.
doing for the first time. So like in Beetlejuice, a lot of the appeal for that first half of the movie is, first of all, you're not really sure if they are dead, and then you find out, okay, they are indeed dead, and now what is in store for them? And why is this Beetlejuice guy such a nasty guy? And like that's a whole element of the movie that just it's part of the pacing and the tone, and builds up to that ending. With a sequel, you're not going to have any of that, so you're going to have to come up with something else that's going to have to happen within the world. I don't know. Nothing's sacred anymore. Everything is just a rehash of and like you watch that Star Trek finale, that final season, and part of what made that season so great is that they did retread on some elements and everything from the other series and brought it in, but it really was its own thing. It really had its own. So maybe with Beetlejuice, if they kind of go in that direction where they make it their own thing, but basically Beetlejuice is going to have to be the good guy in this one, right? That's what they're going to have to do. It's like it's going to be like Terminator 2. He was
kind of. They might try to bring him in more because that's what people are going to see now. It's an established IP, so
yeah.
But still, gotta bring back all the things from the first movie
Yeah.
that were iconic. you can't just have completely all new, fresh ideas because, well, we want to see them stretch out their faces again. We want to see them do the dance again.
Well, see, that's what I think that like they'll probably make him a good. That's why I think they'll make him a good guy because where there's no suspense in him going against two new people, trying to sucker in another couple because we already know what happens, right? We already know that he can be defeated. It can go like he's not all that powerful or whatever. There are ways to stop him. So there's none of that element is there anymore. It's kind of gone. So they'll probably make
Yeah.
him like I think he'll be like he's probably going to be like the daughter, the granddaughter or something like that, Lydia's daughter or something. It's probably going to
Yeah.
be in the film, and it's going to be like Ghostbusters Afterlife, where it's the kids are going to come in and they're going to discover like that book,
The Book of the Dead,
right?
The Book of the Recently
Right.
Deceased.
Hey, what's this? Why does Mom have this book? Mom's probably dead. Lydia's probably dead. Maybe we could bring back Mom with this book, or I can go talk to Mom with this book.
Yeah.
And she'll start getting herself into trouble, and then Beetlejuice will find out. And he was a good guy in the cartoon. Cartoon is completely different. That's a completely different beast.
That was to sell toys.
Yeah. It's just they took a lot of liberties with the story in the cartoon. They didn't exactly, keep it in with the film. Like they were friends, right, or whatever.
It was basically Lydia and Beetlejuice.
Yeah. So if they want to start the adventures of Lydia and Beetlejuice, I mean, she's gonna be friends with the rapey ghost. Okay. But anyways, there you go.
Okay. Complaint over.
All right. I like it. Oh, you heard it here first. That's the plot of the second film. He's going to be a good guy, and he's going to be helping out Lydia's granddaughter. Lydia's going to say, you tried to rape me 30 years ago, and now you owe me. You have to go save my daughter. Or son. Maybe it's son, but it'll probably be daughter because that's...
Oh, no, it's daughter. They've already cast somebody.
Oh, really? Okay, well, there you go.
Hang on.
First prediction already in the book. I guess it's not a prediction if it happened already, but it was...
Well, it has to be because, Lydia was the goth teen in the first one, so they have to recreate that.
Yeah. Steven says he wants a
Jenny Ortega.
Oh,
Jenna
her again?
Ortega.
I keep getting notifications about Ortega and this dance. I don't know. My phone keeps going off about this for a while now.
All right, this is surprising though. Catherine O'Hara is apparently attached.
She's probably in the afterlife too.
Oh, I already see spoilers though. There's someone here cast as Beetlejuice's. Should I tell you?
I'm listening. I don't care.
Beetlejuice's wife. See, they're going in all sorts of crazy directions.
Oh, Bride of Beetlejuice.
Bride of Beetlejuice means more screen time for Beetlejuice because they'll be going in with their domestic life.
Okay, Steven wants a Beetlejuice meets Addams Family crossover. Okay. Okay. Okay, is that it? Is that everything?
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to complain.
I just watched 2 movies I'll quickly talk about. One, I finally watched that Val Kilmer documentary. I don't know if you've seen
it. Is it
that.
Documentary?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. It's been floating around for a while on Amazon. But yeah, there's Val Kilmer did a documentary about himself. And if you know anything about Val Kilmer, he's had some throat issues, throat cancer. And he had to have his, he's basically got the Babe Ruth thing there, where he's got to hold the device to his throat in order to talk. And it comes out as a raspy kind of voice. And, he has to stop to breathe in kind of thing. And then it's pretty sad. I didn't realize he actually made the documentary. I thought it was just a documentary about him. But he actually made it, and I was hoping it would be a little more enlightening than what it is. He's kind of got like the hippie philosophy to life, and a lot of like new age kind of lofty ideas and about, or advice, I guess, about life and all that. I thought it'd be a little more enlightening. You know, you're looking for some solid what's the word? I can't think of words today. I can't think
Something
of it.
of substance.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what I'm looking for. Something of substance that you can use and carry on into your own life. Perspective. That's what I'm looking for, a more perspective. But his perspective is just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what the hell he was talking about for the most part. I had no idea what Val Kilmer was talking about for the movie. There was one funny part where he does a documentary with his son. His son does all the filming, and he pretends to keel over. And his son is like, "Oh my God, Dad, what's happening?" And he just starts laughing. Like, wow, that is a vicious trick to play. But other than that, I gave it 2 stars.
Okay.
And then I intentionally watched a bad movie. This movie was on Tubi, and I couldn't resist the title, called Flesh Wounds. And I couldn't resist.
Is this a Steven Seagal movie?
I couldn't resist the main actor, the lead actor in the movie is none other than Hercules, Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, all
so
right.
I had to give it a watch.
So wait a minute. I have a prediction.
Yeah.
Is this a We Love Jesus kind of movie?
No, it's not. This came out in 2011. So I'm not sure if he was on that kick yet. I'm convinced that Kevin Sorbo does this because he can't get work. So he just kind of like placates to the religious crowds so he can get those sweet religious movie gig kind of thing.
I don't know. I am inclined to believe that's just his actual faith and his belief, because he seems to be really into it. I don't understand why he accepted the role of Hercules if he's so Christian.
This is what I mean. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, money is money. Actors will go for the job, but
and it is fun watching Lucy Lawless tear him apart on Twitter. See, again, Twitter, it's a good free entertainment, man. That is good.
Jokingly, or is she actually?
Oh no, yeah, she actually, like, she calls him, "Oh, little Kevin, you just don't know what you're talking about," and whatever. Because he'll get on diatribes about just stupid crap, whatever. Anyways, this movie, Flesh Wounds, it is a complete and utter ripoff of Predator, to the point where you have the monster that they're chasing. They go into the woods. They go to liberate some POWs, and then it turns out that they're actually going in to get. They don't, the people don't care about the POWs. They only care about getting some information about this secret project to create these cyborg men who have the ability to see infrared. And the camera even pans to their vision sometimes and does the wall as they're looking. And they could hear, but it's all like slow-mo kind of hearing, like deep voices and that. And they can hide in the trees and camouflage themselves so they're transparent. Stop me if you've heard this stuff before. But yeah, the cyborg people, they look like a Borg from Star Trek, but they have all the same kind of powers as a Predator kind of thing. Yeah, and it's terrible. It's an awful film.
I'm looking at the trailer now. The film quality looks terrible.
Yes, it's one of those movies where I remember there was a few of those what the hell, the Kate Beckinsale movies about the vampires and werewolves. Underworld? Yeah.
Underworld, yes.
Yeah. There's a couple of those movies where the saturation is just cranked. And this is one of those films where it just the saturation levels and all the colors is just cranked as high as they could possibly get it. But yeah, it's complete and utter trash. I can't even recommend it though as like fun trash kind of thing. It's mostly just boring, and we just kind of got sucked into it, and just to see like how much they're going to rip off Predator, and they just continue to rip off Predator. It never stops. There's even one point where a guy whips out this big giant gun and starts shooting, like he hears a noise and he just starts shooting at the jungle with this big gun, like he's right out of Predator.
It's amazing how they get these movies made. I mean, it's a cheap movie, but even a cheap movie, there's a substantial amount of money involved in getting all this done. And who's
So
watching it? Just some guy on Tubi.
yeah, well, and they do make money off these movies in the long run, right? Eventually, they do make money because they get put onto these services and they make money off of advertising and whatnot. But Kevin Sorbo, you are a very religious guy, but I think you need to read your Bible, because what's one of the commandments? Thou shalt not steal. And you just stole from the Predator. You stole. Kevin Sorbo, bad Christian.
I thought you were going to say he took the Lord's name in vain in the film.
No, that would have been interesting.
Maybe he won't do that.
No, he did not. He stole from the Predator, though. Anyways, yeah, those are two movies I watched. Then Sarah and I have just been watching MASH, and that's it. We're on the
How much more MASH do you have?
We're on the final season. We just started the final season today. There's only 16 episodes in the final season. But
the last one's a long one.
The last one is the big 2-hour movie, which I plan on watching here in the basement on the big screen. We're going to get that going. But yes, the show is still very funny. The dialogue is still incredibly, like, I don't know where they come up with the jokes all the time, man. It's just so funny. But you can tell where the writing is getting a little bit long in the tooth, because they are starting to rely a little bit on the usual sitcom tropes, like one of the characters needs to have his tooth pulled and he doesn't want to have it pulled, or they're not getting along in the tents, and I'm just waiting for like the tape to come out along the in the swamp. You get your half of the swamp, I get my half of the swamp, kind of thing. We're watching. You can kind of predict what's going to happen next, kind of thing, because you've seen it.
11 seasons,
Yeah.
Eventually, you do run out of material. At least, the characters aren't going seriously.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. And I do like how BJ fights with Hawkeye all the time. That is quite entertaining. But yeah, apparently Alan Alda did not want to do this season. He wanted the show to end on season 10. But he basically, I think it was CBS, who was the network, and he basically strong-armed them into doing the finale the way he wanted to do it. And he said, "I'll come back and I'll do it if we can do the finale." So I'm looking forward to the finale.
It's one of the best finales in television history.
And the most watched. Saw says, before you forget, Shock Treatment is the sequel named to Rocky Horror.
Okay. Shock Treatment.
Yeah. So yeah, Sauce, I think Sauce was a little behind because, it's called Shock Treatment. Okay, I see. He was talking about the direct to VHS comment was about the Ernest movies, but anyways, Shock Treatment. Never heard of it. Are you gonna watch Shock Treatment?
I'm looking it up right now, and no Tim Curry, so I don't know.
You're out. Okay. What year did that come out?
81.
Yeah, too late. You can't wait 6 years.
That's the other thing, though. That of course, this Rocky Horror movie's been around for a while, but it's almost 50 years old now.
Yeah. Well, that's like MASH. I guess we're 40 years now because we're on the 10th season. But when we started, we were 50 years ago, and it's kind of amazing that the show still can be, for the most part, relevant and funny for material that's that old. And I mean, I know I'm old, so maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know, maybe a Gen, what are they up to? Z now? Gen Z? Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe many of the jokes wouldn't land with them, but for me, still good times.
Plenty of stuff is still relevant. Star Trek is still relevant.
Yeah,
Twilight Zone is still relevant.
yeah, I agree.
Books written in the 1800s are still relevant.
Were you one of the people that watched the MASH finale when it aired live, or were you too young?
I can't imagine, so I was probably too young, but
Yeah,
caught it in the reruns.
I watched it. It's funny because my niece and nephew, they're 10 and 8, and there's no way they would ever watch a show like MASH because they have so many options, right? They can just watch whatever cartoon they want because they're all on the streaming services. And I don't know if it's because when I was a kid it was the only thing on, but when I was a kid I loved MASH. I thought it was so funny. A lot of it went over my head, but I still thought, Radar was funny and Klinger was funny, and there was a lot of slapstick kind of humor in that I enjoyed.
Yeah, funny, or even some of the dramatic moments are, stuck out with me. One of my strongest memories from MASH is when Father Mulcahy had to do the emergency tracheotomy,
Oh yeah,
and that
that
scene
would.
just stuck with me for a long
Oh,
time.
I imagine that would. Yeah, yeah, that was pretty intense. Yeah, Father Mulcahy. You said he was your favorite character on the show, and I definitely see why. Because he's, especially towards the later season, they give him more to do, and
Yeah, when he had actual, moments, like there was one time he was struggling to keep a patient down, and he had to punch him in the face to
yeah,
like
yeah,
calm him down.
yeah,
It's like, this guy who's struggling. He's trying to be the peaceful man, but
yeah.
the war is getting to him too, and he is put in these terrible situations.
Very, very underrated character and actor. He did
Mhm.
a great job on that. And then uh, Harry Morgan carries a lot of the show in those final
Mhm.
seasons too. He's quite the character on it. And I don't know if the
Yeah,
show would have again. I think I've said this before, but I don't know if the show would have lasted as long as it had without those character changes.
the
To keep the show
maturity
fresh.
level going up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the show's definitely gotten. And here's another interesting thing. I just read today that Alan Alda actually had it written in his contract for those later seasons that there would be at least one scene in the OR for every episode because he didn't want the show to get too jokey kind of thing. He wanted the writers to constantly be reminding the viewer that this is a show about war and these people are going through hell. So as much
Yeah.
fun as they're having, there are those times where they had to do some unpleasant things where they
Mhm.
were. So anyways, there you go. That's a show. Always end on
Team.
MASH. Well, at least for one more episode probably. So okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in everyone. Rocket Sauce and Steven, you kept the chat going. Very nice. Thanks for Deep for stopping by for a hot moment. And Sarah had a couple of comments in there too. But supper's ready now, and I must go.
Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta go make breakfast.
That whole time
Horrible
zone
time.
thing. It's something else.
Yeah.
I'm having supper.
Yeah.
You're eating breakfast tomorrow morning already from the
Sure
future.
am.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
That's it. We're out of gas.
That's
the
it.
plane is going down.
Got nothing.